What is up, party people? What is up? Hola, buenos dias, and indeed hello, and welcome back to your next village, idiot. To Años, my Spanish is so bad, actually. It's becoming quite deeply embarrassing, but we're coming to you live and direct from Ibiza for in this very special global edition of your next village, idiot. Um, I'm just out here on our deck, on our balcony, and drinking in a beautiful view of the villas, of the I see some palm trees, some other trees, and then a very weird looking building over there, which I don't quite understand, but it's because you can't see it, so obviously I have to explain to you. There's like what looks like little Lego, it looks like little Mario tunnel things that you go down, like the pipes. And We're here for my stepbrother's wedding, as I say, which means that I have to introduce the inaugural Your Next Village Idiot fit check, which is maybe the first fit check we've ever done. I'm gonna do it like those old videos where they were like, they're saying how much it will cost. So we're talking bandana, £8 for two, I think. I have one in white and one in blue, but today's more of a blue affair. I think we can all agree. Suit next, £150 all in. It worked at sixth form and it works now. We're talking linen, we're talking pinstripe, we're talking 2 buttons. And speaking of other sixth form training, we've got M&S fisherman sandals, as my good friend Toby pointed out. Really more Jesus sandals. We were going for a Jesus vibe on the sandals. Let's just get a full look of those. Bam! Yeah, you can really show the ladies your calves in this one. Or your ankles, sorry. Teamed with lavender shirt, £10, secondhand. The Ibiza band, to let everybody know that I love it here. I love it here. This is so fabulous. And this pocket square, which I can't remember how much it was. The look we're giving is sort of 70s porn director, really cutting edge stuff in the field, doing a lot of stuff with Bush, doing a lot of stuff to keep it grounded and keeping it authentic. You know what I mean? Since we are going international, I hope you don't mind the sort of Dutch angle that's happening, because my tripod is absolutely falling to pieces. But we're out here. Eileen's in the other room getting ready. So I thought it was time for a quick yappuccino on the balcony. I don't like that. Something about this suit and being on camera is making me do that. In the McKeown family tradition, I am a teensy bit hungover, so some of these thoughts. And if you remember from last time, me hungover doing this is usually super depressing. But we're going to kind of just rattle on and look at the positives, because how can there be war? When we're out here, it's 25-degree heat. You're in a suit with a beautiful wife with you. I mean, how could anyone complain? How could anyone complain? We actually flew out. I don't know if you've ever flown out from Southend Airport. It was quite a chic little venture. Something about not that many people in an airport just feels elegant. It feels like you're getting a private jet, or an easy jet in our case. We had a beautiful, you go straight through, you kind of like, you can drink in airport security like it's a museum. You can really take the time, arms folded behind your back, walking around. Wow, incredible piece this. So I get to step into it and it scans me. I wonder what the artist's intention was behind that. And to have the instructions written right there for you, it's an incredible piece of work, this. And to engage the human in the art itself, it almost says something about how airport security is theatre in and of itself, but a theatre where you're the star. It's your Hamlet, it's your death of a salesman monologue happening. You can do whatever you want. It's almost performance art. And then you wander through, and I wonder what the artist's intention was when you get to the hotel bar, the airport bar, sorry, and it's just the worst full English you've ever had in your life. Really, like 3D printed eggs, remnants of a sausage. It was called the Little English, actually, this breakfast I had. I had a beer, Peretti, and I had a Little English breakfast in the Southend Airport. Again, my favorite airport. I love this airport. It's the best airport. Really an embarrassment of a breakfast. Really just like, you know when you're hungover but you also didn't buy enough food? It was like that kind of breakfast where it's like, I'm really just pulling together whatever I have in the fridge. These sausages are probably off. Like, but I still find it very elegant. There's something about airports in general. I am a big fan of the airport pint. I hate to, be flagrant in the face of that Ryanair CEO who told everybody off for drinking in airports, but it's just not. It's just not to be. It's just there's something about it. Yeah, like I'm in the sky almost. I should celebrate. It's essentially like breaking a champagne bottle off on yourself before you venture out into the great unknown. And I think that's really very fun. And I think that's really cool. But bless him, he literally was right. In that it was classic Brits abroad vibes, really, where you just straight, you're getting way too fucked up and then you're suddenly in the sky and it's like the worst place for you to be slightly sobering up. You don't want to be, no one wants to be Leo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street being tasered, in the chair and you're strapped down. And that's exactly what you set yourself up for. A little tipple to keep you going in the sky. I like that. I can get into that. But it was also just the funniest thing in the world. So when the Ryanair CEO said, guys, just take care of yourselves. Just don't drink. You can drink on the holiday. You can help up. Oh my goodness. You look so good. I'll have to show you later. Well, maybe, yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's amazing. What was the Ryanair CEO saying? What was I saying? I'm literally humming over my own wife. Which is illegal and allowed in this part of the world, I'll have you know. But the Ryanair CEO said, guys, just don't drink in the airport. It's bad for staff. Like, he was doing what a CEO should do, really. But everyone came out of all these people on Facebook, at least I saw in comments, being like, it's actually my right, and I will fight and die for the right to get drunk on this flight, actually. Who is he? Like, I saw more class consciousness from the people arguing with the Ryanair CEO in Facebook comments than I have in, 29 years of being alive. And yes, that is an age reveal. But you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be like, I think the joy and the whimsy of the English person on holiday is only felt if you're a little bit self-aware of it. You can't be like demanding at the Taj Mahal that they, pour a Stella straight into your mouth. And you don't want that energy. I'm really this is just a list of what you should and should not do on holiday. I think the beer is fine. You can have a beer. We're actually flying back into London City Airport, which is going to make me feel like it's some kind of terrorist attack flying that close to the city. I grew up in Twickenham. You're learning so much about me. I grew up in Twickenham, and I remember I was at the hustings once with the local Twickenham MP. It was years ago. It was the election, I think, where the Tories won when David Cameron was in charge. But it came up. If you don't know about Twickenham, it's right by Heathrow Airport, and so the noise pollution, which, by the way, is one of my favorite made-up terms. You just mean noise. Like, it's just an annoying noise. Noise pollution makes it sound like I've never seen such a lawyered up phrase that we're gonna take to the Supreme Court, because we're gonna invent a new crime. They're polluting the noise. I was enjoying my good noises, and now there's all these bad noises. It's close to NIMBYism, the whole thing, but it's up there with Havana syndrome, I think, in terms of made up problems. Havana syndrome, also just amazing. I went to the hustings in Twickenham, and this is when I was beginning to get interested in politics and realized I had to read about the world. So I go to the hustings, and it comes up. You knew it was coming, the moderator. By the way, it was one of the most insane political hustings I've ever been to. You had your Lib Dem guy, you had your Tory gal, you had your Labour guy, and then you had the head of the Christian Party and the head of the Monster Raving Loony Party. The head of the Christian Party wore a sort of tweed jacket. What did I say? The head of the Christian Party, sorry, wore a tweed jacket. And I've never, he really was, you could tell that he had got his talking in front of people reps in church. Like, he was really giving, like, he won, like, he loves to do the readings in the pulpit, in the lectern. He loves to, he's like, from John 6:1 or whatever, you know, he really, you could tell he was used to the acoustics of a higher, you know, not the community center that we were in, because he was just letting stuff hang. He was really, and he was kind of mopping up in terms of like platitudes. Catholics love a platitude. That's something I've always said about them. That's why I talk in such vagaries in this. It's because of my Catholic upbringing. But I think there was a question about like, you know, the new recycling measures, or like making sure bins get picked up on time, or something. I was a little less hot than the Heathrow noise pollution issue. And he goes like, but I think we can all agree that helping out one another to getting the right kind of rubbish is truly God's way. And everyone was like, all right, that was a lot of chat. That was a lot of chaff. I'm here for the wheat, but every question was that, because you had, you know, and I'll tell you something, it was compared to the kind of like, we will do this, we will go there, and we will fix this thing, clap, 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 clap. You know, it was sort of refreshing. It was kind of like going to Richard Osmond in the Pointless Corner or whatever. Equally smug too. Anyway, but you had the Christian guy, and he, you know, he's palatable. Like, he's a pretty down. He's not Christian like Christians now. Like, he's not like, you know, American Christian, right? Like, this is an American God, like that kind of stuff. It wasn't that. It was much more, you know, Middle England, basically. The Monster Raving Loony Party guy is about 85 years old, and I don't think he knows where he is. He's much more like Matt Lucas on the Reeves and Mortimer show. Like, you cut to him, and he was just like, yes. But he had the sort of righteous hellfire of a guy who, you know how people pray like hell on their deathbed so they get into heaven? He was giving his soul to Satan. He had clearly, every trauma he'd ever experienced was battling inside of him. It was like watching the guy from Split, but like if Split did Logan. If you want the worst, the most annoying reference ever, but Split. So Split's there, and he's with the Monster Raving Loony Party, which makes sense. And there's a question on the NHS, and obviously this is an easy home run answer, right? If I'm Peter Capaldi in the background watching this speech, I'm like, just answer it down the middle, protect the NHS, clap for carers, you know, just stick to the talking points. Like, Christian platitude man he kills this, because he's just like, you know, I believe that Jesus was actually the first NHS, you know, there's a cross in that NHS for a reason. There's a cross on the hospitals because God is with you. NHS actually stands for not holy, son, because they're not Jesus, but they do in Jesus' way. He says something along those lines, and everyone is like, no, it's Twickenham. So everyone's like, quite right, yes, absolutely, that's right. They cut to the Monster Raving Loony Party guy. And the question, remember, is on cuts to the NHS. He gets through some stuff, but he basically goes like, holding his microphone, he's like, well, when you die, when it's your time to go, you have to go. He really was just like Carlin. It was Carlin. It was like the last gasp of George Carlin. But if George Carlin's deep belief was that there is a punishing Old Testament God raining hellfire, it was absolutely fabulous. I think there was actually a bit where they would pass a microphone along to each guy, and, you know, they would do their little thing. And I think on the last one, they did it in some wrong order or something, and the guy, the Monster Raving Loony Party guy, it's not his turn to speak, but he goes to grab the microphone, and the Christian Party guy grabs his wrist. He's like, no. He really he was like, and he knew it was right. It was like stopping your uncle have a speech at the wedding. He was like, no. It was, God battling Satan. So that's what I tell you. You have to go to these hustings because you get to see God battling Satan. And where else do you get to see that, And it's not that, that Jesus in the desert, the devil's like, I think you should maybe be evil, and then vanishes again, and 40 days pass and he doesn't do it. It's much more like pride of, it's fighting, it's battling through as you fall to your death vibe. Anyway, the ultimate question comes up on the noise pollution at Heathrow, because they had, to date this story, they had just announced that they were going to build a new runway at Heathrow for planes, and everyone was deeply upset about it. And everybody, listen, this is platitudes, this is empty promises. Up and down the whole long from your monsters to your Christians to your Tories, everyone's saying there will not be another runway. But the Labour guy comes on. He's like, look, all right, guys, I got to tell you something. I used to work in business, which was his talking point the whole time. He's like, guys, I used to work in business. I'm a businessman, and I know how these businesses work. And I, of today, cannot say that there will not be a third round. And then the murmur through the audience, the ripple, the upset, the anger of, oh no, did you hear that? What? It was like proper Simpsons core audience response, and I love it so much. I've never seen it before or since. Just that, like, oh, that's outrageous. How could he say that? How could he say that big business is stepping on our communities? How could somebody even articulate that? How dare he? Cut to politics now, and the exact problem of everything is these big businesses tearing through these communities. He was literally like the guy in announcing God is dead. He was the soothsayer. The Labour guy got up in his robes and he had eyes in his hand. He was like that, He was like, I see a future where Heathrow will make Twickenham a little harder to live in every now and again. Because I lived there my whole life, so I didn't really notice it. I just thought there were planes, It's not like it's a lost tribe in the Amazon seeing a helicopter go over. It happened all the time, If anything, though, we should take a leaf out of those guys' books and start throwing spears at the helicopters. But yeah, that's Heathrow. How do we get there? That was Heathrow, because we were talking about planes, we were talking about airports, and yes, Brits abroad. We were full on the flight to Ibiza. It was actually quite a classy Ibiza crowd, I'll say. We heard from the other people that they were a lot rowdier, but people were still loud as heck, and still there was these awful, 13-year-old YouTuber kids with blonde hair, and they were clapping and going, yeah, Ibiza when we landed. But that was really as bad as it got. I also love the there's a beautiful innocence in Ibiza stag do's. This didn't happen on this flight, but I just find it in airports. I feel like it's almost like the Odyssey, where it's like they're coming up against a challenge they've never faced before. They're coming from their battles in Manchester clubs and knowing how to break up fights in kebab shops and stuff, and then they run into a new challenge that they've never faced before, which is the airport with its different air and its lotus eaters everywhere, and they don't know how to hack that. It's like camping down when you're trapped in Cyclops' cave. They need to think smartly about this. They need the leader, Odysseus, to come out. They're like, come on, he's got to have something. This is the Trojan horse guy. Listen, mate, that was this mental, oh my days, it was mental, mate. This guy, he like we're doing this war, and we're like, and then this absolute legend, he's just like, mate, we're leaving. Actually, war's done. You win, pack it up, and you're not gonna believe this. Have a horse. Take the horse, pal. Just take it. And they're like, what? We love horses. We're Trojans, mate. We love horses. There's no ulterior motive here. Anyway, leave the horse, pal. Get in there. Get in that horse. And he's like, guys, we're in the horse. That's the fucking bit of it. And we're like, oh my days, you're mental, mate. You're fucking mental. You're crazy. And then we get out and fucking hacking and slashing. I'm in there. We were in there for hours. I'm up there with his balls right in my face. I'm like, you said there'd be girls there. Fucking hell. But yeah, because what I'm trying to say is they get in there and they're just absolutely like, they don't know what they want to drink. The holiday vibe is strong. And they drink too much, and then they're sort of stumbling around. When we went to Krakow earlier this year, and we had some people in the back, some stag do folks behind us, and they were clearly just crashing hard from the flight. Like they'd had 4 beers before they took off, and now they're stuck in the immigration line, and they have to figure out how, and they're in it together, and they're just bickering like with Nail and I, you know, they're like really going through, and they're just like, oh, you fucking, no, it would be like, it's like, what are we gonna do? I'm gonna get up there, just like, take the fucking photo, and the other guy's like, don't say that, we can't, don't, please, and they're just going back and forth, and then they're talking about, it was an incredible piece of, it's always interesting to me. I would not say that I have game in a typical sense, because I don't even play games. I didn't even play the game. I married my first girlfriend. But when you realize someone has no game and their instincts are just terrible. He's talking about this girl, and she was not from England and was saying something along the lines of like, I love your accent, I love your accent. And he's like, and I was like, all right then, show me your pussy. Like that. And I just a beautiful layup missed. You know, he's there with there's an incredible butterfly there, and all you have to do is watch it land gently before you catch it in a jar. He's hacking and slashing with his machete, trying to get it right. I find it beautiful where someone just a complete swing and a miss. Beautiful. We love to see it. My favorite lack of game is this guy. I'm a big Below Deck fan, and I believe Below Deck Mediterranean is like Shakespeare level storytelling. I won't get into the ins and outs, but there's a guy called Bobby on it on season. He's on a bunch of seasons actually. I think from season 1 to like 4. He's like a mainstay. But the dude, we call him No Game Bobby because this dude has no game, and his instincts are so terrible. So basically, it turns out one of the guests on the yacht, which you have to assume is orchestrated by the producers, but one of the guests on the yacht, he is matched with on Tinder, which leads to him going to her room. Actually, there's a whole backstory, the whole thing that happened, which I'll get into, but he goes to her room, and he gets there. She opens the door, and she's like, hi. And he's like, what's that smell? It smells like women. And you're like, oh wow, it's like actually your lack of game is stupefying. Like that's incredible. He just went full Urukai instead of trying to answer. All he has to do was he could have said hello. It would have been fine. She was like, you know, he was just like, he could have said, may I come in, even. He just like, it's a gorgeous thing. We love to witness it. It's really fabulous. I'll maybe save the rest of what happened on that episode of Below Deck for another time. But, wow. Sorry, sorry. You caught me checking out my own wife. I don't know if I'll cut that. I don't think anyone wants to see me horny. I'm also realizing my fly is undone. Has that been undone the whole time? So just out here, just out here. Look at her. Isn't she beautiful? I've already unzipped my trousers because my. Then the second you look, you're like, you checking out my wife? That's one of my favorite types of husbands that I've encountered is the check out my wife, but don't check out my wife guy. I do feel very lucky and very privileged to go on holidays to people's weddings. I think it's a tremendous way of celebrating someone's love, and it's always elegant. You always gripe about it when they announce it because you're like, well, I'm gonna have to spend my holidays on that holiday. But it's just really nice. We had it where we went to a friend's wedding in Lake Como. Shout out Charmaine and Shire. And they really did it up. It was like proper Succession level, beautiful Italian wedding. Really lovely. I never felt more like I was in the Illuminati than when I was at that wedding. Shire's from Norway and Charmaine is from Hong Kong, so they thought a natural midpoint was Italy. So they were like, everybody's flying out, okay? No one's family's better than anyone else's family. You all gotta fly somewhere. What do you get when you cross Norway and Hong Kong? Italy, of course. And we get there, and it's a really beautiful wedding. And they do it in sort of stages. We get there about 2 p.m. and we start drinking right away because you get the champagne when you arrive. Ali's in a gorgeous yellow dress. She's like a Disney princess or something, and it's just a wonderful time. We're there. But then it turns out I start drinking at 2. The wedding ceremony isn't until like 5. And then dinner is until 7. So we do the ceremonies in this beautiful little alcove. But the food was, it was 30-degree heat, and the food was back-to-back pastas. It was sort of like, they were like, what pastas do you want? And they were like, we're in Italy, all of them. Because we're talking literally like, first one, risotto. Second one, ravioli. Then lasagna. I cannot do it. I cannot keep up. And I'm sweating bullets. The wine and the champagne is catching up with me. I haven't had any water. And I have a thing, and this will sound embarrassing, because it is. I have a thing when I eat big meals where I'll sneeze a lot. To an embarrassing degree. We're not talking like 1 or 2 cute little like, we're talking like 15 times in a row. Like, it's actually embarrassing. When we go to restaurants, during COVID, I was like a domestic terrorist, but when we go to restaurants, I am just sneezing up a storm, and I have to excuse myself. It's actually, I always wonder, like, if I was on a first date, how would I even explain it? Like, it's so embarrassing. I think it's some kind of histamine thing. I used to think it was because the part of my brain that tells me I'm full, the receptor, the dopamine or whatever, is right next to the thing that tells me I need to sneeze. Anyway, I'm freaking out because like I'm sneezing, I'm dizzy, I'm like, I think part of me is like, do I need to go home? Is this that bad? So I have to get up. I'd like take my jacket off. I'm wearing this like it's a suit that I if you follow me, you'll have seen the stand-up clips. This like brown, this Uniqlo suit, because again, cheap sixth former. This sort of tan suit, this brown suit. So I look, in retrospect, I look a bit like a fucking, villain in Indiana Jones. Like, and I'm pacing up and down. It's just giving classic colonizer. It's colonizer struggling in the heat, waving my face like, oh, I can't handle these exotic pastries. I can't handle these mix of flavors. What's that? Tomato and basil? Oh. And because it's an international wedding, everyone's just like, yeah, he's English. That's just what English people do. They come to a country that they cannot hack. He's on primo honky behavior. But it was devastating. I was personally devastated. It was. I had to recoup. They also had a thing where listen, we can all agree, big enough wedding. There's a 2-tier guest list, right? There's the VIPs and there's the chaff. There's everybody else. There's the people that we wanted there. But then there's people we have to have there. And we were definitely in the B tier list. of, because the room had an interesting setup where there was a wall halfway through the room. So the bride and the wedding and the family and all stuff are sort of on one side and we're on the other. So they have to do the speeches with this Bluetooth mic, and they're kind of wafting in and out, you know, they're making sure everyone can hear it. You can hear the speech, but we can't really see where they are, and it's just booming over the top. And it was a bit of a marathon because they had 10 speeches, which, listen, I'm not one to critique weddings that you're invited to, but a little less on the speeches. I think 4 people at a push, keep it classy, keep it funny, nail your type 5, get out of there. I love you, I'm so glad we're all here. Bon voyage, we're gone. But this was like approaching open mic territory, you know, because it was like the best men speak, and then the brothers speak, and then the maid of honor speaks, and then the other maid of honor speaks, then all the bridesmaids have a little speech that they do together, and then the grand speaks, and then, you know what I mean? It's just like, guys, we all love Charmaine, all right? We're all here. We can just share our love silently. It's also, I'm mainly complaining because then we overran and then we had less time to dance, which is also my big thing is weddings, dancing at weddings. Oh, forget about it. That's why I came. I am cashing my dancing checks for the year. You know, I worked out some premium moves and I'm going to bust them out. We're talking the little run, you know, we're talking the disco move. We're talking the good stuff. We're talking the full beans. You have to dance at weddings. If you don't dance at weddings, you're a coward. And again, I think it's the bandana making me talk like Hemingway. But I'm so excited for this wedding. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know what the vibe's going to be. I'll intercut some of this with how we think it's going to happen. Because it's an Ibiza, I did think about dressing like Base Hunter and just, you know, having a full deck tied around my neck. Just like, yeah. Oh, I'm here to party in Ibiza. Where are the girls? Where are the single girls? Damn, she's a sexy chick. Like that kind of thing. But no, ended up as 70s porn director instead. And honestly, you know, Ibiza DJ in the 2000s and the 2010s versus 70s director, we're talking, there's some creep. There's a through line of creep. I'd like to think they'd see each other in the grand beyond where we all meet up at the end and they look each other in the eye and they're like, you're not so different to me. And he's like, yeah, we're the same. We're like the same guy. We both love the chicks. He's like, yeah, I love the chicks, but I'll shoot anybody. I love it. We now enter Daniel's voice actor showreel. But yes, I think that's sort of all I wanted to say. We covered a lot of that. We covered a lot of bases there. Chic airports, elegant weddings, chic airports, and a hell of a lot of sun cream. Well, it's not really a policy that will wrap up on this hopefully special bumper edition of Your Next Village Idiot, but I will say, to wrap it all up in a policy, it's a campaign for you guys. I mean, what else is there to say other than I heart Ibiza?